What is up, everybody? Welcome to Party on Broad. Today, we are breaking down everything defensive linemen in the 2025 NFL Draft. Guys, if you're new to the show, last week we covered our biggest Heisman candidates, breaking down their strengths, their weaknesses, and ranked them top 10. So right down in that description below, you'll find that link. Today, we're talking about arguably the strongest position on paper right now for next year's draft. Joining me, he is Ryan Reese at Philly Sports PSA on X. What's up, man?
Not much, man. Ready to, like you said, this is probably one of the most talented groups that we're going to be seeing in this upcoming draft. And, man, there are some absolute monsters here that will be changing the face of college football for this upcoming season, for sure.
Yeah, it's loaded with first-round talent. But, guys, before we get rolling into this thing, right after this, we have an MLB draft watch party going down on the channel. So if you love the draft, be sure to hang out after our show and talk some baseball. Let's jump into, we're going to do this 10-1 like we did with our Heisman candidates. Ryan, do you want to go first or you want me to go first?
No, I'll go first.
Okay.
All right. So we'll start with number 10, I assume, and work our way up, right? All righty. So this is a guy that I wasn't that familiar with last year until you actually turned him on to me. And then, Drew, you just saw the raw abilities that this guy had. And I'm glad he came back for another year. And that is Landon Jackson out of Arkansas. This is an absolute monster. Humongous dude, 6'7", 280 plus pounds. Was a guy that really came on late last year and really had gained a lot of momentum. We were all assuming he was going to commit to the NFL draft last year, but he has certainly, a smart decision, in my opinion, to kind of gain a little bit more experience. He's a very raw prospect, very athletic, and just has this monstrative size to him to go along with, speed and strength that he shouldn't possess at such a size and ability. So this is a guy that, again, I think the more experience he gets, the more he figures it out. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he figures himself out into a first-round talent by the end of this college football season. This is a guy that either way, I still think has so much more room to grow too. Even if he kind of establishes himself as an elite talent in college football this year, I still think whoever ends up drafting him will get more and more out of him as the years go on. He is just raw as it gets, but still very, very talented. Landon Jackson from Arkansas is my number 10.
I love this guy, man. I actually have him number 6 on my big board.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
I do. I think he's a first rounder, man. Now, he would have been a first rounder last year. And this guy's story is wild. He was a 4-star recruit who initially committed to LSU. He didn't get a lot of playing time there. He then transferred to Arkansas after the 2021 season. And at that time, he joined the World Wrestling Entertainment NIL program, the Next in Line program. So he's already got basically a job waiting for him if the whole draft process kind of falls on its face. But you nailed it, man. Elite size and frame. His wingspan and length are next level. This guy's built like an NBA power forward. And like you said, he really got better. I mean, I think he's one of the top breakout candidates of 2024. He plays for the Razorbacks, who had a disappointing season last year. They went 4-8, and it's not going to get any easier in 2024. Obviously. So yeah, that's a good one, man. Landon Jackson's legit. I put him firmly in my number 6 due to just
that's awesome,
ridiculous upside.
Yeah, I figured I wasn't necessarily shocked when you said that. I knew how high you were on him last year, so that definitely tracks.
All right, I'm going to roll into my number 10, and we're going a couple Penn Staters here back to back, leading off with Abdul Carter who's got just a world of upside. This season, he's making the switch to defensive end for his junior year. He's kind of following the mold of Micah Parsons a little bit. Last year, he had 28 pressures, the third most on Penn State. And despite only playing just 33% of the snaps, his 24.1% pass rush win rate last year led all FBS linebackers with at least 100 pass rushing snaps. And that would have placed him third best among all edge defenders. So this guy is expected to have a huge year. And like Parsons, man, this guy is a freak athlete. Unbelievable bend, unbelievable speed and dominance on the edge there. He's got a lot of polish. I expect this guy to climb up the draft boards as the season progressed. It is important to note that he was charged with assaulting a truck driver during the offseason, which is insane to me. Just pure insanity how he's got everything in front of him. And reportedly, it happened back in like April, and he was dragging this tow truck driver and assaulting him during this incident. It's just nonsense. But when it comes to on the field, he's got a lot of talent. So I'm going Abdul Carter for my number 10.
Yeah, listen, Abdul Carter certainly has the skill set to be a first-round talent and probably going to be an amazing NFL prospect if he can figure out all the off-the-field stuff. I specifically did not have him on my list. It was tough because, again, I think skill-wise, he deserves it. But this, what happened in the offseason certainly put a sour note on everything. And, I want him to, show that he deserves to be on there regardless. So I left him off personally, but
yeah,
he's a great talent.
Yeah. He's a guy that pops off tape. I remember my friend telling me about him a couple years ago, and this is a big year for him. He's expected to play a lot more snaps this year, and we'll see what happens. I'm just going to roll into my number 9 because we're sticking with the Big Ten. And Dennis Sutton, who has a lot better measurables, 6'5", 270 pounds. Again, just yet another freak athlete with crazy bend off the edge. He was more of a regular rotational piece for the Nittany Lions last year. He had 5.5 sacks, 19 hurries, and obviously, like Abdul Carter, probably going to play more snaps in 2024. He was named third team All Big Ten last season, and he's kind of been in the shadow of the Chop Robinsons and the Adisa Isaacs. Chop Robinson was a first rounder. Adisa Isaac was a third-round pick by the Baltimore Ravens. The Nittany Lions, they're trying to also get out of the shadow of the Michigans and Ohio States in the Big Ten. And things are not going to get easier, man. You've got Oregon, UCLA, USC, and Washington joining the Big Ten. So Dennis Sutton has to be the leaders of the defense, and they're going to get tested in a big way. Obviously, Penn State, I know this is a defense show, but Penn State is bringing in a new offensive coordinator to help Drew Aller get on the right page. But the defense has to be legit from the jump if Penn State wants any chance.
Gotcha. Yeah, he was the guy that was just kind of right off off my list here. I think as the season progresses, I could see Dennis Sutton and Carter kind of moving up that list. As you said, kind of like last year with the pairing, from Penn State brought to the NFL draft. So they certainly have they're going to have some offenses they're going to go up against in the Big Ten. So they'll be tested.
Yes, sir. Who's your number 9?
So my number 9 is Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss. This is the guy that was at Texas A&M and transferred over. Was highly recruited, number 2 in his class coming out. This guy has an amazing first step off the snap, extremely explosive, and is able to get into the backfield almost instantly. It really feels like. He has the ability to be versatile. He can line up at any spot on the defensive line. Whether it's in the middle or on the edge. His hands are his strength. He has an amazing ability to shed blockers and using his hands to force his will. Honestly, he's got a good bull rush. He's got great lateral ability, especially for a person of his size. Decent, more than decent run defender. As I said, and you can see that he still needs to continuously advance his, pass rushing skill set as he seems to have every single year. The only knock on him, I'd say, is he just kind of needs to get a little bit more consistent and seems to need to have maybe a little bit more of a game plan heading into certain matchups. He seems to be kind of lost, depending on, who he's going up against. But this is a guy that absolutely is going to dominate in the middle of the line. As he's one of the more highly touted D tackles in all of college football.
Dude, I had him number 4 on my list.
Wow.
I'm a big believer in this guy, man. I think he's a straight up stud. You nailed it. Just raw talent, just tons of upside. The size, the frame. You look at Ole Miss, man, they absolutely loaded up on the defensive line this offseason. They also added, I don't know if he's on your list, but
yes.
Florida.
yes.
Princely Umanmielen, who was a top edge rusher in last year's draft, then decided to stick in college football, transferred now to Ole Miss.
Yeah,
but I see Nolan as a special lineman, man. He can play inside, he can play outside. He was 4th among SEC defensive tackles with a 9.9% pass rush win rate. This guy is joining a very solid team in Ole Miss that should really compete. So I like this guy a lot.
Yeah, no, agreed.
Where do you want to go?
Right. Yeah, I'll go number 8, and I'm heading back to the Big Ten, and I am going with J. I'm going to actually have you pronounce the last name.
Oh boy,
JT
Tuimoloau. JT Tuimoloau.
There we go.
No, wait. JT Tuimoloau. It's one of those two.
Hey,
it's been a minute.
Malawi, whatever. Either way, JT, we can call him JTT for all you 90s people out there. From Ohio State. Absolutely love this guy. They have a couple of really.
Oh. Ryan, you're an NFL draft sicko when I spelled that on the first try.
Yeah, that's actually really, really impressive. That's one that's him and then a guy I'm going to talk about later. You really have to watch it as you spell it because there's consonants, vowels where they shouldn't be, but that's pretty nice. But yeah, JT, is an absolute monster. Again, this is a guy that we all thought was coming out last year. In fact, that's kind of going to be my theme here for a lot of these guys here on my list. But JT absolutely dominated. He's just absolutely overwhelmingly powerful, especially at the point of attack, consistently getting off of the tackles and into the backfield, just collapsing pockets, creating havoc. It's what he does, and excels at. His strength kind of sets himself up to be able to plug up holes and impose his will in the run game as well. He really is great at kind of forcing the ball carrier to cut back inside into a lot of tackles. So he doesn't get a lot of credit or the stats, if you will. But he is disruptive. Let's just say that. Again, he's kind of a guy that can be versatile as well. He can be on the line, in the hand in the ground. If you're talking of traditional 4-3, if you're kind of more of a 3-4 or other multiple fronts, he can stand up, kind of be that outside linebacker should you need it. So the versatility there is certainly great. High IQ, instinctive, and really just has a good set of moves to counteract some of the better offensive tackles that he goes up against. Um, Again, this is a guy that I feel like needs to have a little bit better of a game plan when going up against some of the more notable names that he'll kind of go up against. He seems to again um, not know his place. I guess it might be the right way of putting it, but luckily he has the power and the kind of the natural leverage on his side to kind of make up for maybe when he's a little bit lost out there. So I really do like this guy, and I think Ohio State's going to have a ridiculous team overall, much less their defense.
Yeah, JT, man, when he's going, he is one of the most dominant players in this draft. Like, he is unstoppable. And just circling this game on your calendar, Ohio State plays Penn State on November 2nd because JT Tuimoloau has some historic games against Penn State. Ryan, did you miss that?
Yeah, I had no idea what happened. I got kicked out, and I came right back in. So
I was just saying, because we're going to be when the season starts, we're going to be making player predictions and who's going to have the best week and stuff. Circle November 2nd for JT against Penn State, because if you YouTube it, JT has some unbelievable games against Penn State. He always just dominates them. I'm talking like multiple touchdowns a game and things like that. So that's a good one.
Wow. Okay. Nice. Can't wait for that one then.
He did not make my list, but that is a good one. I still definitely see a universe where he's a first-round pick. No doubt about it. I'm going to roll into my number 8 and a guy that I think could be like a top 15 pick down the road here is Deon Walker out of Kentucky. He's an absolute beast. He's the textbook definition of first guy off the bus. 6'6", 348 pounds, just dwarfs offensive linemen. He's just your quintessential guy that can stuff the run, eat up double teams. But I also think he can show some upside as a pass rusher up front as well. His 51 pressures led all interior defensive linemen in college football last year. He had 8 sacks, and that was tied for the most among Power 5 defensive tackles. He's a physical freak in the mold of Jordan Davis, which as Eagles fans, we all know about. Just overwhelming power, overwhelming strength, a mismatch generator waiting to happen here. You look at Kentucky coming off of back-to-back 7 and 6 seasons. They definitely want to kind of get their team going in the right direction. And, they've got some major high-profile games. You're looking at Georgia, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Texas. That schedule is tough, but it should also give us a ton of tape to examine just how good Deon Walker is. So that is a guy you need to know about. I think he's got crazy upside. This group is deep, man.
Yeah. So I believe I have him as my number 4.
Nice. I like it.
I'm a big fan of his. Kind of when we decided to kind of go the defensive route, I wanted to, double check up on, certain players, and he was one. And the more and more I watched, the more and more I really did enjoy. So, he's definitely a guy that's, I think, going to maybe surprise some people. As I think you might be right. I think he might end up being a pick in the first half of the first round here when it's all said and done.
I agree. Who is your number 7? I think we're at
10, 9, 8, 7. All right. Okay, so I'm going back to Ole Miss. And
really?
I'm going to Princely
Yeah.
Umamielen.
All right, here we
Umamielen.
go. Princely Uman Mi Ellen. I
Yep.
think that's it. I don't
No,
know.
that's it.
I don't know.
You spelled it right.
No, did I really?
You did. Yeah. I watched the whole time. But Princely again was just a great prospect, and was with Florida last year. We all thought he was coming out. He decided at the last minute to kind of stick it around, but he also obviously went to Ole Miss, and it looks like they're trying to build themselves a really great defense there, as obviously I mentioned. Nolan earlier. This is just an absolute, you know, just a great sized defensive end. Has wonderful speed. Is great at kind of the lateral movement. I feel like it's very fluid. It's very flexible in his movements, and he has great bend. He really does kind of, seems to have all of the skill set of a prototypical edge. Great IQ. Um, he seems to be able to, again, if he maybe overcommits, he seems to have the athleticism to get back right into the play, and mitigate, any mistake, as I said, he might have. But great awareness, great IQ, and with the length, with the wingspan, he's just a matchup nightmare, honestly. You combine that with the fact that he just never quits, he never stops. Absolute, insane motor. This is a guy that again is for me is an easily first round talent. And I think with the line that they're building there in Ole Miss, I think we're going to be hearing about that defense a lot this year, personally.
Nice. He did not make my list. That's a good one, man. He probably should be. Nice. All right, let's roll on to my number 7. I'm going with another transfer. There's a lot of transfer portal was busy,
right?
A lot of transfers. And the guy I'm talking about is Nick Scorton, who is a fastball, but he's got pretty good size, 6'4", 280 pounds. Had a major breakout year last year, 21.3% pass rush win rate, which ranked 9th best among all edge defenders in the country last year. He had 15 tackles for loss, which ranked 4th most. And his 91 pass rushing grade per PFF last year trailed only Liatu Latu and James Pierce Jr. among Power 5 edge defenders. And we're going to be talking a lot about James Pierce Jr. in just a little bit. But he played for Purdue last year. He had 10 sacks, the most since Ryan Kerrigan had back in 2010. He's transferring to Texas A&M this season, and he's just got a lot of power. You look at 280 pounds, but he plays a lot bigger than that. He's got a lot of movement ability, and he's just got a ton of upside. He's long. He's incredibly well put together. And to kick to the cherry on the top of all this guy won't even turn 20 years old until August.
Yeah.
August, man. So obviously crazy upside. Nick Scorton is my number 7.
Yeah, no, that's a great selection. I have him as my 5.
Okay.
Just again trying to make sure I count all this right. I think we should have in our little Excel thing, we should have the first column just be the rank, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, so we don't get confused.
Yeah, it is confusing. Right. You had him number 5, you said?
Yes. Yeah, number 5.
Okay. Cool.
So let's see. So I have 6 to do. You have 5 to do. All right. So I'll do 6. And that is Jack Sawyer.
Ooh, another Ohio Stater.
Another Ohio Stater. Again, as I said when I was talking about JTT, that Ohio State defense is going to be absolutely sick. He's on the other side. from JTT. He's very versatile. He's kind of, again, similar to JT. He can play, hand in the ground, standing up, showcasing, his versatility, flexibility, and not only that, but his IQ when it comes to multiple defensive fronts, defensive schemes. This is a guy that's 1,000% high motor, never quit, relentless effort. He's a guy that's going to run from one side of the football field to the other to get the tackle. Constantly is chasing down running backs, quarterbacks. You name it. If the whistle hasn't blown, he's probably right near you. So he's great at the point of attack with the offensive line. Great with his hands. Effective in kind of setting the gaps in the run game. And you combine that with kind of an explosive first step when pass rushing. This guy really does have a great ability to kind of convert that high motor, that high speed, and power effectively getting to his tackle. So this is another great Ohio State team and defense that's going to be hard to beat, to be perfectly honest. I know that matchup against Michigan, running the ball, but man, they're going to have a tough time running the ball against Ohio State.
Yeah. And that doesn't even include, I think they got Caleb Downs this year, who transferred from Alabama or Georgia. I always get those two confused, but he's just an elite defensive back. But anyway, I'm going to jump into my number 5 here. We're going into Florida State, and kind of the guy that is going to fill the shoes of Jared Verse. Give me Patrick Payton, 6'5", like 250 pounds. Seemingly made clutch play after clutch play for the Seminoles last year. Not necessarily a household name yet. He's been overshadowed by Jared Verse the last 2 years, but this guy had 43 tackles, 7 sacks, 9 passes batted in 2023, and definitely more disruptive than the numbers say. He reportedly added 15 pounds of muscle this offseason. Looks like a future first-round pick. Obviously with Florida State, there's a ton of question marks in the air. They have several key players to replace off of last year's defense, which was really strong. So Patrick Payton filling the shoes of Jared Verse among one of the top storylines to watch as the season begins. And the good news is Mike Norvell, the coach for Florida State, had the 3rd best transfer haul this recruiting cycle during the offseason. So Florida State's definitely trying to get back into the swing of things in 2024. But Patrick Payton is definitely one to know. He's going to be my number 5.
Yeah, he is actually my number 3.
All right.
This is a guy I'm very big on, and as you said it perfectly, he's going in and filling shoes of a first round talent, somebody that 2 years ago we thought was going to be a first round talent and stayed in and ended up going to the Rams. In fact, the Rams decided to just draft all Florida State players apparently. I like Payton. Again, I think he's a little bit raw. If he truly did add all that muscle, that's a really good sign.
Yeah.
And I'm even more excited to kind of see his progression here moving forward.
All right, let's jump into my number 3. I'm going to Georgia. So if you're an Eagles fan, you should be listening. We're talking Michael Williams here, just an uber edge rusher prospect. He was a top 10 recruit out of high school and showed why as a true freshman. 6 sacks and 33 freaking pressures. Definitely looks like one of the biggest breakout candidates in 2024. Maybe arguably one of the better defensive players, period, in college football, period. Again, 6'5", ton of upside. He's moving to outside linebacker, but I still think he's probably an edge in the NFL. He played outside linebacker in the Orange Bowl against Florida State last December and was absolutely dominant, had 6 pressures, 2 sacks, 2 run stops, and a forced fumble. So I think Georgia is kind of hoping to kind of highlight that versatility and unique athleticism, both on both ends, as a pass rusher and as a run defender at that outside linebacker role. But he's a guy that can play multiple roles. He can fit multiple schemes within the defense. And that, if you're listening, Howie Roseman, is clearly attractive to Eagles because they love themselves some positional versatility. Georgia is loaded on defense this year. Nazir Stackhouse returned. They've got Warren Brinson. They are the adults in the room. And those guys on the inside pair with Michael Williams on the outside, without a doubt, gives Georgia one of the best defensive lines in the country.
Yeah. Listen, this is definitely a guy that I debated kind of towards the end of my list. But I can absolutely see why you would have him this high. I think he certainly has a lot of potential to be one of the better players. Yeah, I just, I don't know. There was something about it that I just didn't believe me. I had like literally a list of like 5 guys that was like, man, I could either have you like 5 or I could have you like 12, like.
So this is good. This is going to be a guy we're going to be watching a lot because
sure.
Because even like when you go to our Heisman, we're pretty dead on for our Heisman guys. So Michael might have the bigger differences between us.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And listen, maybe I dropped him down a little bit because of the Georgia, bias, I guess that we've recently been on. And again, if that's the case, I'll gladly add him to my list as we go forward. But he certainly is a talented player, and I certainly look forward to seeing lots of his games this year. So
this is something we didn't do last year, and this will be a fun show to do in like 9 months from now, just to see like how wrong we were.
Yeah. I want to see exactly how we kind of feel about certain things as we go along throughout the year. So
yeah, we'll definitely do like key positions with this, like cornerback and wide receiver and things like that.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, man. Do you want to go with your number 2, or do you want me to?
Sure. I'm assuming our top 2 are the same.
Probably. Both of them have not been said yet.
Both of them have not been said. And I assume our number 1 was absolutely the number 1. But I'll go ahead with my number 2, which is the top interior defensive line prospect from the reigning champions, University of Michigan, and that is Mason Graham. This is a guy that kind of didn't get talked a whole bit last year, mostly because Michigan had themselves a monster squad in pretty much every position. But if you listen closely, he was certainly talked about. This guy has an absolute motor. He sometimes honestly feels like, some of the reps, he just feels like he's unblockable. He gets past people without them even touching them practically. So his pressure ability is absolutely insane. Great violent hands and a good strong lower body that kind of is able to kind of knock off blocks and really kind of set the line, which is so important in the run game. But he also has kind of a quick step and able to get tackles for loss and get to the running back and or quarterback. As I said, he kind of has that high motor and really just seems to have that knack for the ball. He just knows where things are going. He's intelligent. He's instinctive. This is absolutely, for me, the clear-cut interior defensive lineman in college football.
Yeah, right there with you, bro. He's like on the field, he just pops. Like he was everywhere. When I was watching tape, it was the 2 guys that I thought stood out the most was Mike Sainristil from Michigan, obviously, and Mason Graham. Mason Graham was always just wrecking havoc.
Yeah.
he had the 8th best power conference pass rush pressure rate among defensive line players. He had 20. He stuffed 28 plays at the line of scrimmage last year, and just a beast. He 6'3", 318 pounds. He knows how to shed blocks and find ball carriers, and he's got a teammate in Kenneth Grant.
Yeah,
Maybe we'll bring up for as an honorable mention because
he was for me.
What? Okay, well, I'll save that for later. But yeah, he's legit as well. But I think Mason Graham is a lock for top 10, top 15 at this point. And you look at the Michigan defense; they're still strong, man. They are absolutely loaded in the secondary as well in 2024 with some elite talent. So Mason Graham, number 2. Let's roll on, and we both have this dude number 1, James Pierce Jr. Do you want to take it, or do you want me to?
No, you're on a roll. Go ahead.
We have Danny Savage saying Mason Graham my DT1. Absolutely agree, man. All right, let's talk some James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee. The guy's a stud. If this guy was in the 2024 NFL draft, he would have had the highest pass rush pressure rate among all edge defenders and defensive line prospects, 21.3%. And this guy's not just great at bringing pressure. He's elite at finishing. He had 13 sacks in total. And if he replicates that, we're talking about one of the better edge rushing prospects, kind of similar to like Will Anderson out of Alabama, who just won Defensive Rookie of the Year in 2023. As a prospect, James Pierce Jr., he's explosive, he's strong, he's flexible off the edge, 6'5", just a blur rushing off the edge. He's a little inconsistent as a run defender. He can improve at setting the edge, especially when the run is coming straight at him. He's got a lean frame, so he could definitely add some muscle, and he sometimes struggles to hold the point of attack against stronger and more bigger and powerful offensive linemen. But expectations are sky high for James Pierce Jr. this season for Tennessee, just like they are for quarterback and Heisman candidate Nico Iamaleava. So for me, I think James Pierce Jr. is an easy number 1, and I can't wait to crush you with Tennessee as James Pierce Jr. is my character coming off the edge in EA Sports College Football.
Yeah, listen, currently just finished downloading. So I'm ready. I'm ready for tomorrow at 4:00. Hopefully my boss is not working or watching this because I will absolutely be stopped working right at 4. But yeah, Pierce is easily should be a top 5 pick this upcoming season. Probably will be the first defensive player off the board. He is just an absolute, wrecker of worlds. Honestly, this guy has such an explosive first step, such an absolute, just amazing acceleration and burst off that line. And he is instantly in the backfield. He is intelligent. He is instinctual. He knows to play the angles. He can, utilize, his strength to get by you. He can utilize his speed to get by you, his flexibility. Like it doesn't matter. He is going to, he's going to get where he needs to go. And yeah, he is, he's fun to watch. It's fun to watch.
Danny says top 5 pick barring injury. I absolutely agree. I see, like, if we had to tier these right now, and this is way too early. I think Pierce and Graham are tier 1.
Yeah.
I think I like your Deion Walker pick. I would put Deion Walker and Walter Nolan tier 2. Mm-hmm. I like those two guys a lot. Then I would go with some combination of Peyton Williams, Uman Mielen, and Landon Jackson as like tier 3. That's
I can see that. Yeah, absolutely.
Just remember these names when we roll out our first mock draft because we're going to be picking all these guys.
We're gonna be all up in there, yeah, for sure.
Danny says, I've dropped 15 defensive tackles and 10 edges so far. 5 more edges dropping tomorrow. Love it, man. So there it is. I think the biggest swing guy on this list by far is Micah Williams. That was fun.
Yeah. Now, like I said, I think I had him. I think I had him 12th. But again, that was a tough one that I was just kind of debating how to market. I sat here for a while and just again, I knew I had a good group. I just trying to list them. So
it was interesting. You had 2 Ohio State players that I didn't have on my list, and then I had 2 Penn State players that you didn't have on your list. That's cool.
Abdul Carter was certainly right there. In fact, I think he was 11th. He's a guy that again is right there. I just again, I think the off the field stuff. Let's play a couple of games. Let's forget about that. Let's move on, and I'm sure he'll be rising up those rankings real soon. So,
yeah. And my final thought on this list before we get into an honorable mention, I should have had Princely Amonmielen on this list. I don't know what the hell I was doing. I don't know why he's not on here, but he should be.
I feel like I had like my bottom half was just all people that I remember covering last year. It was JT, it was Jack Sawyer, it was Landon Jackson, Princely, so I was kind of just excited to talk about them again,
Yeah, totally. All right, do you have an honorable mention you want to talk about before we wrap it up?
Honestly, I mean, I again just trying to look at who I feel like everybody that I didn't have, you did. So yeah, if you have, again, I think you picked a good one, Kenneth Grant. That was kind of a really good one.
Yeah, Kenny Grant's good.
Because again, when you look at that Michigan team, and obviously you see Mason Graham, and he's, again, how many times do we see it where, maybe not as always like a same position, but
hot take: Kenny Grant and Mason Graham are far better NFL draft prospects than Chris Jenkins, and people love Chris Jenkins. So
they sure love them some Chris Jenkins, that's for sure. We'll see it all the time where we'll have 2 really good prospects. One will get all of the love, and then the guy kind of under the radar, but that's the guy that is you got to watch out for. And I think that could be a Kenneth Grant situation where do I obviously think he's not better than Mason Graham, but I think he's a sneaky guy that you got to be mindful of, and when Mason Graham is getting double teams, Grant is going to come flying around and get himself some stats. So certainly watch out.
Danny says week 2 Texas versus Michigan is going to be
one. Oh yeah, that's a good one. That is
I can't wait, dude. I can't wait. Is football here yet, man?
I know, right? It's so close. We are. What is it today? We're literally less than 10 days away from the Eagles training camp.
Yes. Yeah. Hold on. Danny said Graham made Jenkins look gross. I fully agree. Like Mason Graham popped way more than Chris Jenkins.
Yeah.
No question on it. I do have one honorable mention I want to bring up real quick. Not an elite player, but definitely a guy that we should know about. I'm going Howard Cross III out of Notre Dame. He's a defensive tackle. He doesn't have a lot of size. He's only 6'1", under 300 pounds. He's a 6-year senior, but big time production. He's right up there with Tavondre Sweat and Byron Murphy and the Mason Grahams in terms of PFF grades last season. Really nice quickness out of stance. He has active hands, off the charts motor. And you look at that lack of size and lack of length, that's definitely something we're going to be talking about as the season progresses, as we always knock NFL prospects in those areas. But anyway, he's going to be a major problem for opposing offenses this year. Notre Dame doesn't really have that difficult of a schedule. Their toughest games are Florida State and Texas A&M. Outside of that, it's nothing crazy. So Howard Cross should definitely have a lot of opportunity to kind of I was going to say stat pad. Who's the WNBA player? I was going to say Angel Reese.
Angel Reese.
But
Rebound, miss shot. Rebound, miss shot.
Missed layup.
I do real quick before we get out of here. I do want to mention another Ohio State D lineman, Tyleek Williams. Again, JTT and Sawyer get certainly the love as the bookends, but right in the middle is Williams. That defensive line is just is sick. So it's going to be one game, one of them will blow up. The next game will be the next guy, and I'm sure against Penn State they'll all blow up because that's usually what happens. But
Penn State's effed, man. They have no chance.
They'll never be able to beat Michigan and Ohio State in the same season.
Never going to happen.
Never happen. Will never happen.
Not at the rate the Big Ten is expanding and Michigan and Ohio State just next man up. It's just crazy, man.
Yeah.
Their chance was last year, and they just didn't happen.
Nope.
All right. Final thoughts, plugs. Let's wrap it up.
Hey, listen. As we said in the beginning, this is going to be one of the most talented and deep and top-heavy and all of the wonderful words you want to say group when it comes to NFL prospects. There is going to be a ton of first-round talent players here. So please make sure that you keep an eye on some of these guys as the season starts. We'll certainly be tracking it as well. It's a fun group. I love doing these kind of exercises. It's a good way, and again, to kind of get yourself used to hearing the names, getting used to seeing them, and then when the games start, you're like, oh yeah, I remember Dabs was talking about that guy. So this is a great way if you're going to be joining us throughout the season. Make sure that you check us out every Sunday. We're going to be talking college ball. As the season goes on, we're going to be bringing a lot of really fun segments to kind of, make things a lot more interesting this year. So stay with us. Check it out every week. Party on Broad, college football edition, baby. And also, you will not see me, as I will be in a NCAA 25 bubble for the next 6 months.
Who knows? Maybe we'll do some live streaming here on Sunday. Maybe that will be the show. That will be the show. We'll just play some NCAA.
Okay, I'm good with that. There you go.
We'll just talk about random shit. And
I'm set up. I tested all my stuff. I'm good to stream. I'm ready. You
have an Xbox or PlayStation?
No, I have PlayStation.
But you can cross-platform, right?
I just think right now I don't think the online dynasty you can, but I hear that they eventually will get that going. So
yeah, Danny says great for betting props. That's the plan, man. We did that last year, and we won all of them. So this year we're going to make it more formalized and with more graphics and things like that. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and lots of EA Sports College Football 25, which drops for me Friday. I'm in a postmaster's program, and my final exam is Friday.
Oh.
So my plan is to pass my final,
right,
and then drink myself silly and play NCAA college football all night on Friday. That's the plan.
I really want to take the whole
You're probably playing tomorrow.
Oh, I'm absolutely. I'm working from home tomorrow, and I'm making sure my boss doesn't set any meetings for 3:30 and on. And pretty much I'm just going to log off, and maybe I'll throw something at my mouse so it looks like it's moving, and I'll be setting myself up right for 4 o'clock, and I will not move until sadly I have to do a football smack talk show at 6 o'clock. It's the last thing I want to do is do a podcast.
Who's going to be your dynasty team?
I think to start, I think I might do Pitt. It's kind of my team.
Really?
But I always F with Temple.
Yeah, I'm going Temple.
I always do some random I usually will take the lowest ranked team and just try to build them up. Or I'll create a team and whatever. And I always do Road to Glory too, and I cannot wait. Cannot wait.
It looks so good, man. Just from the gameplay, it looks smooth. It looks the attention to detail is off the charts.
Yeah.
Just the little nuances of the game look so much better than Madden in so many levels.
I know.
I'm just blown away that they did it. I'm like, and the reviews haven't come out yet. I'm sure we'll see them this week. But like, I was nervous. I was legit nervous they would F it up because it's EA.
Same. You're right. We built this up in our heads. It's been 11 years, and then for them to come out and lay a giant egg would be so soul crushing,
dude. And I'm not gonna lie, like this game is gonna be a driving force for this show. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure we're gonna be doing shows where we like take draft classes and put them in Madden and like see how they turn out and.
I was gonna say, remember last year when we did the where on Birds of the Round Table where Shane just had the Madden.
We need to do that. Let's do that Game of the Weeks. We'll do that for Game of the Weeks.
All right, there you go. Perfect, beautiful.
We'll like do our show where we're talking like players to watch, Eagles targets to watch, and things like that with that. But we'll also have the Game of the Week in the background simulating as we react.
Beautiful. Well, we'll talk to Shane about how to set that up.
I'm excited. All right. All right. Let's close up shop one last time. If you're watching us live, we will be going with a MLB watch party, which is freaking awesome. That'll be starting in about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
My guys, Al and Matty B, breaking down everything MLB draft. I'm happy about this. This makes me happy. It's like the one thing, like as a draft sicko, the MLB draft doesn't get enough love. It's kind of messed up.
Yeah,
and it should be more of a headline part of the MLB season, but it's not. And I like that they're giving it some due love. So that's going to be really fun. Be sure to check that out. From our Heisman show last year, I've also been pumping out some shorts on all of our scouting reports of those guys. So go check that out with highlight reels and things like that. We'll be back again next Sunday, breaking down more 2025 NFL draft tomorrow night. Party on Broad. I have no idea what we're talking about. Eagles, Sixers, we'll figure it out. So we'll see you tomorrow night at 9:00. And then right after that, Sixers post-game show for the Summer League. He is Ryan Reese at Philly Sports PSA. I am Dobbs, Mr. Crockpot. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Stay awesome.